Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Producer Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our returning guest, Travis Gibb. We're here to broke down, and 4 dead bodies and everything in between. Hey, you know, I forgot to mention, too, I love the title for the second issue. Like, how like, it just adds up. Like, it was such a cool little thing. And it ties into the story. That's the best part. Like, you know, but before, you know, I could fanboy about that. I always love just attention to detail like that. Let's go ahead and catch up with who you are. I mean, Travis, last time we had you on the show was interview 325. This is 395. So 70 interviews since you last were on for no contest issue 1 through 2. You know, what's been up since the last time you've been on?
Oh, man. So we funded Expired. I think we talked about that a little bit during that interview. Expired 2. We did my wife's cottage cheese book. We got that out. We've been working diligently on getting Coins of Judas to the printers, and I think Great Estate Punk came out into the direct market. So it's been wild just getting all these books out. You know, I've already done 9 books this year. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's June. There's 6 months.
Right. I've done more than one a month.
So, I mean, man, like, do you ever burn out, or are you just like a cyborg? I mean, are you human, Travis?
I won't say I burn out, but it's harder to keep deadlines these days. I will tell you that, you know, the more stuff that adds on and like prioritizing which ones, that's tough. And then balancing my work for hire versus the orange cone stuff, that's hard because you're getting to the point where people want to hire me for stuff. Trying to get that stuff done. I actually spent this week, took it off and sent out a whole bunch of people who had work for hire stuff. So I had to send them like their first drafts of everything. So that's what I did this week. And that kills you when you're working for other people. Not that I don't want to work for other people, when you have all your own deadlines, your personal deadlines, and you always just push your personal stuff back for other people, you know?
But man, 9 books, 6 months. I mean, you have an ongoing series, Coins of Judas. You're doing a lot of Kickstarters. I mean, how do you find that balance? Like, I know for me, with a lot of what I do, I like to set timers, like little 15-minute timers, knock out a 15-minute, move on to something. I can't tell maybe if that's the ADHD in me, like needing to just like keep like hyper focusing on something. But like for you, when you're balancing so many different series, so many different creative teams, like how do you manage that?
Yeah, it's really hard. So I got to pick different times to do stuff. So part of my day is going to be marketing. So it's marketing the books, getting them out there, talking to my groups and collaborators and see where everything's at. The other part of the day is I have to set a time for payments because I have so many payments going out. Like I have to make sure everybody gets it because somebody every week falls through the crack, right? And everybody's, you know, especially when you're hiring these artists, a lot of them work, you know, page by page, you know, they want their money as quick as possible. So doing that. And then much like you, I have ADD. My wife thinks I have ADHD, but I think I only have ADD. But I open 4 scripts at a time and I will, all right, I'm bored with this. I go to the other one to keep it flowing, to keep going and to keep my brain processing because I get bored at something. So I have to go to the next script and then go through the process. So it's wild.
Budgeting is a hard thing in itself. I can't imagine like budgeting your life and then budgeting your work. Like you have to wear so many different hats from being, you know, payroll, creator. I mean, team management. It's so there's so much more that goes beyond just what you read in a book. It's impressive.
Yeah, it's funny because I listen to tons of interviews. So like you're on my Rolodex on Spotify and everybody. So I listen to everybody's interviews all the time. Every day, every Monday, I get, you know, new episodes of stuff, and I plan my week out on what I'm going to listen to podcasts. And one of the things that I hear a lot of the pros are like, I just wanted somebody else to handle all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'm not sure if I ever want to get rid of that. Like I like when a Kickstarter, I like putting it in the Gemini, right? And folding it up and getting it ready to go and sending it out. Like, it feels personal and it feels my connection to the fan. But I also know if I could stop doing that, I could produce so much more content, you know?
Yeah. But that personal touch, I mean, is everything. When I first did the first line of Keeping It Geekly shirts, I made sure I went local. Did everything I could. It cost a whole bunch of money, learning experience there, and it was like one of those things where I get to I got to send out the package, like from like now I'm working on an online store, but that physical store where I have the shirts, I mail it out. I'm like, I'm gonna throw in a couple stickers, I'm gonna throw in a little magnet, I'm gonna write a little note and handwrit how appreciative I am of this, because it does mean the world to me. And like as a consumer, when you get that, it's like, I don't even know how to explain it. Knowing the creator cares that much to do that extra step, it just speaks volumes about him, I feel.
No, I agree. I think that personal touch matters, and I think it's good that, you know, for me, to hold myself accountable, right? Like I did this, I sent it. So if it's messed up, I did it, I messed up. Like it's that accountability that I don't have to go to somebody else or to a third party or whatever, because I would be so scared of the quality that somebody would send out, you know, all these companies that you print and then they'll ship out. I just couldn't do it.
So, I mean, we talked about you as a creator. Tell us a little bit about your label as well.
Yeah. So Orange Cone Productions, we've been together. This is our 5th year.
Wow.
And that's what makes this, you know, book that we're going to talk about a little bit so special. This was our first collected series. You know, our first series is broke down in 4 Dead Bodies. The way it came to be is, I had started writing it in 2003. I hired an artist. We did two issues, which I know you read 2 issues. So we did 2 issues. And then he had a baby and I had a baby at the same time. And we were both just like, we can't do this, because we wanted to be parents and it became more important. And it just sat there. In 2007, I tried to revise it, hire a new artist. It just didn't work. And then I met my wife, my wonderful, beautiful wife. And I was just showing her things that I used to do. I was like, hey, look, I have this comic. And she's like, are you serious that you have 2 issues of a whole comic that you've done nothing with? And I was like, yeah, I guess that is pretty stupid, because it's a lot of money to produce a comic, even several years ago.
These are big books too. These are bigger than the average book.
They're bigger size. So I took those 2 issues and made issue 1. So that's those 2 issues from back in the day. And then issue 2 is brand new stuff. So I cut some stuff out of 1 and concise it to 1 issue. And then every year from, when was it? 2018? Yeah, 2018, I had 1 a year that came out all the way to the end, you know, and the last issue is like 40 something pages. So it's like a double-sized issue. So I worked really hard on getting it, and it just became a production company. You know, I started doing the Cthulhu's and the Granite State Punks and the Voodoo Nations, you know, adding books on to the repertoire, because when you're doing indie comics, most of your artists are doing it part-time. So they can't produce a book more than 1 or, you know, 1 to 3 a year. So there's exceptions, of course, but most of them will take several months to do one. So I get ADD. So I jumped on to the next thing. And then I got so busy that I couldn't send out this book. I couldn't do the trade. And now it's finally time to get that trade out. I, in fact, have other issues that are ready to go. And I was just like, no, I need to stop all the presses. I need this trade out. I want it on my table, because I stopped selling Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies on my table, because I'm so with the Voodoos and the Broke Down and all my other books, I just don't have room for everything. Things have to get retired eventually, right? That's
not necessarily a bad thing, though, right? Having a catalog of that size.
But if you can get it into a trade, it can stay, right? Like if I get it in a trade, it goes into, you know, this is the single issue rack. This is a trade rack. It can go to the trade rack and sit there and be its own thing. And then it allows me some opportunities for Amazon and some other stuff, because Amazon does single issues. So it's time, man. I'm excited to get it there. And I'm excited that our company, you know, this is our 20th book, our 20th Kickstarter book. Not our 20th comic book, but our 20th Kickstarter. All fulfilled, all taken care of. So it's wild.
You know, there's so much to take away from that. I love, first and foremost, your wife standing behind you and pushing you, you know, and really catapulting you to do it. I mean, the importance of having someone believe in you and in your dream is an invaluable, you know, commodity. You know, when you're at your weakest, that's when they come in and they're like, nah, get up, like dust yourself off. And having that person in your corner is it's amazing. So I loved, you know, I know last interview we talked about that. So it's awesome that if the book we're here to talk about today is that. I love how that was like the start of it, and I love how your 5-year mark is like the trade paperback. So it's all coming full circle. You know, it's a lot of cool things happening there. But this isn't your first trade paperback. The first one that you did was for another creator. I mean, so let's talk about kind of what goes into creating a trade paperback. I mean, 4 issues is a lot. I mean, What was this series about, the first one that you did?
So the first one was called Dog Days, and I did it actually at the same time as Broke Down. Like I did the first issue of Broke Down. A guy named Marcel Dupree hired me to do a book called Dog Days. And there's a disaster and a whole bunch of drama that goes into that, like indie comics does, you know. He, it got paid for it. It took 3.5 years to come out.
Oh no!
It took three. It was a crazy thing, but it did come out before Broke Down, and that also stung a little bit. Not that I'm not proud of the work of Dog Days, but like, man, my own thing that I had a head start on, you know, is not even coming out till after that one. So it was important to me to get my own collected, and that's a different ball game together. That was a graphic novel, like together.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, it was sold as a graphic novel. The Kickstarter was for a graphic novel, not for single issues. So that's where this is different, where this is a collected of the single issues into graphic novel.
And so you mentioned that the first 2 issues you combined into the issue 1. But let's talk a little bit about the creative team that was involved. Was there a different artist for the second issue then afterwards?
No. It's the same guy.
Same guy.
One of the things I missed on the story is when my wife got back, I messaged him out of the blue. I had to hunt him down on Facebook and stuff because he was using Yahoo at the time. Like I had to. And I was like, "Hey man, you want to finish our book?" And he was like, "Yes, I want to finish our book." And we both got into it and finished this beautiful story. It's such an interesting thing, especially. I think you're a manga guy. I think I've seen you like.
Yeah, I read a few.
Right. So it's got this weird like modern and manga like style to it, which I think really fits. You know, a couple people who read manga, I don't connect it to like Banana Fish. I'm not familiar with that particular
I don't think
one.
I've ever read it. Yeah.
Yeah, but they connected with that, and I kind of like it. I liked one of the things that was intentional when I made this book is every crime book that you pick up on the shelf. First off, it's always the lowest selling. Like any company, it's always the lowest selling, which is weird because if you go to the novel market, crime is number 1. But you go to the comic market, oh yeah, crime and romance number 1.
Why do you think that is? Like,
I think it's more because of people love the true crime. You know, I think that I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe like reading it compared to seeing it. I don't know. Maybe.
So crime is always the lowest in the comic stuff, but every crime's out there is noir. And noir is heavy inks. Kind of a dark tone to it. And I wanted to do the opposite. I wanted to have it very, very clean. You know.
Yeah.
We talked about off air. Connecting Quentin Tarantino. That's what I loved about Pulp Fiction versus Reservoir Dogs, right? Reservoir Dogs is dirty. Like the film is intentionally kind of dirty, where Pulp Fiction is live and bright. They're going to these clubs and dancing. Like it's all the opposite of what you expect. They're doing they're not robbing, they're shooting people in the opening scene in the daytime. They go and hit them in breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hit you guys at breakfast.
I love how raw it was. I mean, can you imagine like working for someone and then their significant other overdoses and you have to try to bring them back to life and like that car ride home and shit? It's like, God damn, dude. Oh man, that would be raw.
Yeah, and I loved it. I mean, I loved those movies growing up. To me, the Quentin Tarantino movies were so important. Like, I was building up my own mythos, right? Like, all right, so we got the Gecko brothers. The Gecko brothers tied to the Vincent Vega is connected to this, and it's all because Vincent Vega and George Clooney's character are related. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't.
They are somehow related in the movie. And connected to Michael Madsen's character as well. They're all like family from Reservoir Dogs. And I'm like, oh my God, like how are we gonna get all these things together?
That's so cool. So I love when stuff starts interconnecting like that.
It was deep, and then he does stuff like Kill Bill, and I'm like, this is a great movie, but it doesn't connect to my theory. And then you're doing cowboy movies, like what is happening? Like where is my crime?
We're supposed to be getting a third Kill Bill, if I'm not mistaken.
He just declared like he's only doing one more movie, and it's not going to be that. Apparently,
okay, so I guess I was wrong.
No. He's talked about because he's only doing one more movie for whatever reason. And he's talked about Kill Bill as one of the options. Like he's talked about it. And then he just recently announced that he's going to do, it's a movie about a guy who did movie reviews for like a smut magazine. I don't know.
I kind of love it though. It's different, right? And I think that's where you can really get creative, and maybe that's why it's his last one. Like he's just gonna go balls to the walls. I wonder how many set of feats we're gonna see in it though.
Right, his speed is a little out of control. Like the Selma Hayek, feeding him booze so he can, and he plays the character.
Oh my God, it wrote himself in.
You're getting out of control, Quentin.
You got money like that. You got the ability to cast. I mean, why not? Why not? Best person. Why not make it yourself? So, Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies. Now, I love issue 1. The title of it. It literally is what happens within it. I mean, how'd you come up with the name? I know that's kind of like a cliche answer, but with this tying into the actual book itself, I think it's important to ask. I mean, did the name come up first, or was it something that happened afterwards?
Yeah. So, are you familiar with a book called Stray Bullets?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Stray Bullets the origin of this book is Stray Bullets #1. So, if you remember, there's a special needs character. I don't remember his name right off the top of my head, but he goes on like a murdering spree accidentally, and like gets all the bodies in the car, like, and he's driving around. And I was just like, what if that car broke down? Like it swung all these things into me, and like then adding, a Jules and Vincent type thing, and adding all that together. Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies was actually the title of the book was heavily encouraged against by every pro that I had known, believe it or not.
Really?
They really wanted it to be broke down. They didn't want the extra stuff. But I was like, no, I think we need to put it there. Like, title's too long. Titles that are long aren't working. And then 2019 came. Something's Killing the Children. All these big, long titles. All
the pros listen to you, and they're like, Travis, don't do it. We're going to do it next year.
Right. Clearly I was right, like, because all these long titles are what survived. But I really wanted it right down at the beginning, kind of like sales pitch, right? I don't have to sell you the book. Like, Broke Down and 4 Dead, you get what the book's about. Like, you get, like, you're going to go into a dark path. You don't need to know what it is. It kind of speaks out to you. And my plan was at the time, and I may get back to it at some point, but I'm doing so many other books, is I was going to do a series of Broke Down books. So my next one was going to be a wrestling book called Broke Down and Tapped Out.
I love it.
Right? And there was going to be a Broke Down and Locked Up, where they were in prison. Broke Down and Freaked Out, like kind of talking about Broke Down being not just in this book, it's literally broke down, but also as it progresses, being a state of mind, right? You're mentally broke down.
And I love just the introduction to our 2 protagonists. We have Denver robbing a place, doesn't know that the person he's robbing is some huge dude who easily dismantles him, but the fact that he had the brass to hold him up, it is enough for him to want to get hired on. And I just love how this is like a running theme, like right off the rip, taking another straggler, are we, Mr. Washington? I'm like, okay, like this dude's done this before. Also we have Randy. I love his introduction as well, coming out of prison. That was another interesting tie. So you see that these guys aren't, strangers to crime. And as a writer, you do such a good job of like setting it up and tying and looping things back in together. Like we have Denver, prodding Randy about the goatee, and I didn't really. I wouldn't say I forgot about it, but it was something that I remembered. And then in issue 2, like you show Randy with the goatee, and I was like, okay, like I love how you don't forget about it. Like you make sure to throw it back and reward the reader for picking up on that. Real quick, we have Just Jaded 420. I keep missing lives. Hey everyone, rock on. I love that. Welcome, Just Jaded. Thank you for joining us. Right in the nick of time, 20 minutes in, so feel free to spark away and get lit up. Travis, I mean, when you were writing this backstage, we were talking about it having some pulp fiction influences, but I mean, what else did you kind of tie into this?
I think anything in that genre, but I really I wanted to tell a story that I wanted to show when I created this. My goal was I wanted to show readers that I'm trying to tell you one story, and I can tell that story really good, but I can tell a different type of story. So when you get to the end, there's a big twist and there's a big connection, and much like you said, those details are so important. Like the details, everything that happens in issue 1 is so important to what happens in issue 3 and 4, and tying these things together. So telling one story and like turning into another. I always loved it when you're watching a movie and you're thinking it's about this, and then at some point it turns and it's like, it's not about that anymore. It's about this. So I wanted to tell one of those type of stories, and those stories and those were influencing me. I also was hugely influenced by Kevin Smith. I love Kevin Smith and I love his dialogue. So I always felt my strength, when I went to film school, my strength was always in my dialogue. So really showing these two characters and their dialogue, they try to kill each other several times, and they have funny quips and they have anger. I loved being able to tell it, and that was so much fun. This is one of my favorite stories to write, is because I can have these two dynamic characters who have these different attitudes and just want to downplay each other and like cut each other out. Everybody has a little bit of sass and a little bit of humor to them. Nobody's straightforward in trying to do stuff. So I really wanted to build these characters and make them as real as possible. And I think I do that.
Yeah, and I really love too, after the big showdown, it's like a 5-minute drive and 8 arguments later, like how explosive the relationship is. Another thing I really, really enjoyed too, issue 2, we see Randy kind of how he got involved with this, and he doesn't hold up a church, but he goes to church, takes the church direction. What is it? I forgot. Yeah, okay, I was right. Sometimes I stumble on my words and I'm saying it mid-word. I'm like, okay, I don't know if that's the right word. So, but he picks it up and then he strong arms Mr. Washington's mom or grandma. I'm like, wow, you are conniving. But the beauty of it is, Washington knew what it was and knocks him down. And then he's like, you're on, you're hired. I love your brass. I'm like, dude, this guy is just picking him up left and right. But right here was another interesting thing, and I think it was like a way of you kind of poking fun at this genre, like where he's like, am I a made man? And he's like, no, that doesn't exist. Like, stop that. So, well, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? The whole made man scenario and situation, like with this type of crime?
Yeah, I wanted to write a crime, not necessarily realistic, but how would you make crime work, made man and stuff. Like, I think that that's an Italian, like a mobster thing, but someone who's just like organizing little crime or runs like a small empire. I want to do it. Sons of Anarchy, I'm a huge fan of it. And I love how the hierarchy doesn't really matter. Like, Jackson's in charge and stuff. They can do stuff and there's the vote, but there's like this little democracy. But no one's made, no one's like set up and it's just, how well did you do last week, And in both of those scenes, we talked about the Mr. Washington. I really wanted to show like that this dude is not a good dude. Like in both scenarios, like he gets, Denver tries to hold him up. He's like, oh, make sure you rob this guy. Like,
go on, continue doing this.
And then even his mother, when he does the thing with Mr. Washington, he's like,
pay up.
Make sure you get that big check from our mom. Like, he doesn't care. Like, it's about money, it's about power, and it's about that domination of who he is. So building that empire and that belief of what we think is fiction versus reality. And then what's really interesting is the place that I chose was Canyon City. That is actually all done by my wife. So back in the day when I first created this, I wanted to be set in New England. Because that's where I'm from, so I wanted to set New England. He just started drawing deserts and stuff. And I was too young and naive to go, hey, you should change those things, right? So I was just like, I don't know. And my wife told me about Colorado. I was like, I need a place that has like deserts and mountains. Like, I need someplace. So she picked Canyon City, which is in Colorado, and it's a prison town. Like, there's a big prison there, and it's kind of run down. It's kind of dirty. And then like I did some really deep dark, like racism and like white supremacy, huge there. And it kind of fits with Mr. Washington, like kind of taking and the kind of people who he's taking onto his stuff and trying to take that stuff. There's such a deep thing. And I loved it. I loved learning about this real city.
After it was already created.
Real dirt. After I started creating this real dirt and living it. And I actually, for one of the Kickstarter awards, I have, because people make fun of, everyone has that town near them that they make fun of. That don't go there, it's shitty. Like Canyon City is that one. So I made bumper stickers that say my car broke down in Canyon City.
Oh,
and
no.
the store goes, can I get a whole bunch of those to sell? They didn't care about the comic. They wanted my car broke down in Canyon City.
That's hilarious, though. That is hilarious. I mean, do you have any sort of like thing for a website on it too, so potentially people can get redirected to you, or is it just that on the bumper?
I did back in the day. Yeah, that website now just goes to the Kickstarter. But yeah,
that's so cool, though. That's awesome.
When I first started, because I'm a web designer, it's easy for me. Every series had its own website. And I was like, that's cool, but really gets a pain in the butt when you get an order and trying to figure out what website it came from. Like that started getting annoying. So I had to stream another one. That
is so cool. So creative team involved on this, for the volume 1, artist, letterer, who's all on board with you.
So we've got Felix Navarro, who is our artist. He's the artist of all 4 issues. We got Jerome Gagnon, who is my letterer for every single project I've ever done. He's my letterer. He's part of Orange Cone. He's part of the Corp. And then James Sims is my colorist. He was one of my first friends in comics, which is really cool.
That's so cool.
And even though, so he struggles with cancer, so he battles cancer on the regular, even though he's not the colorist to all of them, I've made sure he's colored some pages or cover for everyone, so he's part of the whole process.
I love that.
I wanted to make sure he's part of it. So he always, in every one of the issues, always did that flashback in the beginning. He would always color it. And then for the trade paperback, he colored the version of it.
So, I mean, again, we always like talking about this too, the process. When you had the script, I mean, how did that look, with the collaboration with the artist? Did you because this seems like you have a lot of this planned out. I mean, did you let your artist kind of get away with what they wanted to do, or did you have ideas for how you wanted each panel to look like?
There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of details that are super important in this book. The case has a mystery to it. So what the case is, how it looks like, what we're revealing at what time is important. So because we have different plots and that connects to all these things. So angles were super important in this book. So showing things from different angles, like the case in issue 3, you find out it has a number connected to it, and that number has significance. We don't show that number on purpose early on to kind of play things out and kind of hide things in the panels. Same things where things cut away, or sometimes dialogue that you've read, Corey, you read it from a certain point of view, but that sometimes those have a different meaning if you knew more, right?
So yeah.
Later on, dialogue, when you go back and read it, they were saying this, they weren't saying that. So I had to do things like that. And just, you read the second issue where we have a Good Samaritan come. Those angles were very important to me, like the choking down and like coming in and how he sees the rest of the situation, and like trying to, in a 2D space, blocking was super important. So yeah, it was super important panelized to make sure things were very, very right. So I'm sure it was a little annoying for my artist, but I think it pays off because it feels more real, right?
Yeah.
Randy had to jump in the way to kind of block the windows of the stuff and how we do all those things. So it's really, really fun. And then there's some really cool stuff that I'm going to talk about in the behind the scenes on the thing, where things you just early on that you make mistakes. Like in issue 3, I had a double page spread that didn't work because I put it on the wrong page. Like I just wrote it wrong. So I was like, how do you do that? So I had to add extra pages, and what I did. So I literally just this morning, someone was sharing a book, I think it was from Image, where that happened and it got printed. And it was like, they were like, I was reading it, I had no idea what was going on. I'm like, dude, that would be a pickle. So I think right now, let's go ahead. You have issue 1 on your end. Let's go ahead and pull it up and go through it together, and then we're going to go through the Kickstarter. So everyone that is watching, check this out with us, and let me pull up this Kickstarter, pull up this link and back it today. We would love to see a backing. If not, simply putting this on Facebook, Twitter, anywhere you can put a link. Word of mouth is 100% free, and you have nothing to lose. Definitely gets the Geekly seal of approval. I loved issue 1, issue 2, and I'm sure issue 3 and 4 are just as action-packed. I mean,
you know, talking about issue 1, the Good Samaritan. I mean, the way you did him dirty, and then like to do that. Oh my God, that flashback and build up his character and give him just that extra heartbreaking backstory. Ah,
yeah. And on the campaign, you can get issue 1. So we start off with, you know, this is Mr. Washington in Denver, and they meet each other and do so. Here's a little thing that I'll give you, a secret for keeping it geekly. If you follow me, one of the things that I do, if I write an ongoing series, I connect it to a band or album that I like. So I'm a big Meatloaf fan. So every one of the 4 issues is a title of a Meatloaf song. I
love it. Oh, that's awesome.
So, I'll just tell you this one for Meatloaf, but if you look at anything from, you know, my Coins of Judas to Voodoo Nations, each of them have a band that I really, really love and connect it with.
And we have Randy right there too.
Yeah, Randy's right there. You can't quite read it here, but his number is 24601. If you're a musical guy, that's a Les Mis reference, which I thought was fun. This is my favorite. This is the image that was in my head when I created the book. Is this pushing? And
I love how you start off, like, because you could see. You know, on the other side, the car's in like pristine condition, and then on the right, now it's all blown up and windows are blown out and everything. Like, I just love like the dynamics between the 2 pages.
Yeah. And I tried to get it's funny that people put this in the 80s, and I think I have to leave it in the 80s because, you know, that just this jacket, people like always are like, what kind of phone is that? Well, as I revealed to you back in the day, like it was drawn in 2003. That was a very valid cell phone. So, you know,
that was hip. You were top game if you had that phone.
Right. But that's why I had to put piece of shit burner phone, you know, to kind of go, all right, it's a little bit modern. Like, this is just a burner phone. That's why it's old, you know.
We have just Jaded 420 saying, me too. I think about the Meatloaf comments we were making and everything. I believe so. Just Jaded, if you want to put some clarification on that, feel free. So right here, I thought was an interesting scene too. So we have them, you know, wanting to get paid. They open it up, and that one page in particular, that felt like a perfect nod to Pulp Fiction, where they open it up and it's like the gold. You know, what's your thoughts on that? What do you think the gold is?
Oh, you know, I've always wondered. I wonder, you know, I like my favorite theory is, I don't think it is, but my favorite theory is that it's Mr. Washington's soul. That's why he has the Band-Aid on the back of his neck. Like it's like he's not whole, like it's his soul, which is such an interesting thing. There's also a rumor that it's the money from Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
So I don't know.
You know, I'm gonna look into that. Like, I'm big into rabbit holes, and you saying that, I'm like, you know, son of a bitch, this does like make sense. Like,
yeah.
So right there, an interesting. You know, we have the 4 dead bodies in the back, and that. I just loved how it all ties in together. I mean, that just felt like a perfect. So did you have, like, when you came up with a name, did you have trouble figuring out how you were gonna get the 4 dead bodies in a broke down car?
Yeah, and I really wanted it to be in the back seat, so I had to. That's where this sound system came up. So that's where that sound system came up, and believe it or not. And before I state this, I don't know if this is true, but there is a show on Peacock. I can't think of the name of it. It's about snakes. Hold on. Peacock and what is the Craig Robinson? Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say
Killing It. So it's a show called Killing It. They mentioned Kickstarter, and they mentioned this joke, the sound system being in the back. And he does a dead bodies thing in the back. I'm not saying he ripped me off. I'm just saying there's a lot of coincidences.
Yeah, right? Yeah. No, that is funny. That is funny. And, you know, so this was another favorite part too. Well, Pulp Fiction had the person getting their brains blown out in the back. But the car doesn't get cleaned this time around.
Right. Yeah, it gets worse, actually. But we've got this weird system. We got Miguel, we introduced in the beginning. He's one of the main protagonists. I really love this such an anime vibe right here.
Yes, get him, boys.
Yeah,
and I love like the cheesy, like, you're fired, and he's like shooting and blasting.
It's a lot of fun doing that. And one of the things I loved about the artist is he told me this later on. See how he always covers up the license plate? He's like, you never told me what was on the license plate, so I always covered it up.
But it makes sense too, because if you're a bad guy, you don't want your license plate showing.
Right,
so
sure.
it works. It works.
So he's always got it behind the smoke.
I love this like climatic shoot down too. You got 4 dead bodies just chilling in the back seat, shooting another car, getting shot at. Oh man, and then the explosion. And then right here is just such a brutal, you have, tensions are high. Randy's done with it, punches Denver right in the face. But Denver is not a force to be reckoned with either. I loved how you kind of like made them both kind of get the one up on each other.
Yeah. This is my favorite scene in probably the whole book. Is there's this little argument of them having to handle this situation. They don't like each other, and they're fighting each other and choke each other out and about to kill each other. These are my favorite scenes in movies, that tension, right, where everything comes up. And then, right at the end, a good Samaritan comes and like, hey, it seems to be the problem.
I fucking hate it too, because you always know that good Samaritan is in for some shit. Like no matter what, is almost always in for some shit. I mean, was it your intention to kill him off? Or
Yeah, he was bound to die. He was part of that. And what's cool is if you look at my Facebook, you don't have to drive. But I went to a con once, and a guy literally dressed like that came to me. He was wearing a cowboy hat.
That's so cool.
Exact same shirt. And I was like, "Oh my God, you're in my comic book." He had the mustache, the whole thing.
That's so cool. So let's go ahead. We'll remove this, and then what we'll do is we're gonna pull up the Kickstarter.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
So this is where you can actually buy Volume 1. So we looked at Issue 1. There's 3 whole issues that you haven't even seen yet, guys. So you got a little taste, a little behind the scene of Issue 1. Right here is a link for the Volume 1. Be sure to pull this up with us. And like I said, if you can back, we would love to see that. But if not, word of mouth is always 100% free. Go ahead.
You can go to brokedownand4deadbodies.com. So you don't need to search it or anything. Brokedownand4deadbodies.com will bring you right to the Kickstarter page.
So currently at $2,312 of a $6,500 goal with 88 backers, 14 days left to go. I mean, for your first trade paperback, how are you feeling so far?
It's a little bit underperforming from what I'd like, but I also know that people have read it. I've also talked to some of the backers. So there's one of the stretch goals is a hardcover. So some of them are waiting for it to be funded to try to get to that hardcover. So I get that. It's a weird thing. And then also, there's a gap, right? Does that gap hurt you? I don't know. Maybe it hurts me. And I know also a lot of Kickstarters are underperforming. But that being said, I know we're going to fund. I know where we're at. I know there's interest, and it's a really good value. I mean, it's about 150 pages total. The story in the book is 120, and then I have backups and extra material. And if we get there, Cody, I have 5. Every main character of the book has their own story written by high-profile characters that are ready to be added to this book.
That's so cool.
So
that's awesome.
If we get to that, we can do that. If not, I'm going to have to do another book later on of just the individual, of like a one shot with all these other characters. But I'd love to just have it in the trade and make it special and make it oversized. So
let's go ahead and check this out. So collected for the first time. I love this too. The Kansas City. That's cool. It's
a cool postcard that we actually sent out to everybody in character.
So that's so awesome.
Everybody in character, like.
I love the coffee stain on the back too. I love stuff like that, dude. That's so cool.
Yeah, we sent it out. It actually threatened them in character, and like people were so confused.
But I love that. I love that little immersion when you're in character. I think it's a nice little touch.
Right here is a great little. I go over each issue, give you a couple of pages of each issue, so you can kind of check it out, see what's going on. And
I love the skull and the glasses. That is so cool looking.
Yeah, that's done by Carl Moline. He created Frey in the Buffy universe and has done stuff for Marvel, DC, did Avengers Arena, did Superboy, all sorts of stuff.
And then the sample pages, but we already went through issue 1, so here's issue 2. So this is after being set up. They're broken on the side of the road. And things get bloody, as you can see. Definitely does.
Oh, I spoil it right there. We show that we kill our good Samaritan.
And I love how ruthless it is. There's not a like, holy shit, you got blood on my tie. Like, I love that, like, you know, that mentality. It's like, oh, you didn't like just blow this old dude's brain out in front of us. Like, I gotta get another tie, man. Thanks.
Yeah, there's no good guys in this book. Like that's that's one of the things I want to say. There's no one is a good character except for that Good Samaritan, and see how that worked out for him.
And then we got the introduction of the biker gang too, so things are about to get really, really climatic. Yeah. And now issue 3, this is all brand new territory for me. So give us a taste, you know, without spoiling, what happens in issue 3?
So issue 3, we find out a little bit more about the case, what's going on with the case, why it's there. The gang, all these people are trying to finally figure out where he is. Where they are, what they're doing, so that's going to be connected, and it gets nuts. You know, we learn a little bit about Miguel. You know, every origin. So we start with Denver, issue 2. We go with Randy, Miguel's origins in issue 3, and then we go from that. So that's what issue 3 is all about.
Oh my goodness! And then issue 4.
Issue 4, issue 4 is wild because we add a new character who's never been seen right at the end, Maggie, and we find out that she is the cause of this whole thing somehow, and we establish that. We've got those really cool deer masks, you know.
It's very ominous.
That's one of the things I really liked about the series that I learned, you know, when the biker gang was such an exciting thing. Like when you're reading issue 2, you're like, oh, I thought I knew all the characters. So I started adding these characters, and like me getting better at my craft. When I get to issue 4, I was like, you know, let's add something very iconic that's more comic booky. So let's add these cool masks, you know. And that double page spread right there is very crazy. So we see that everything is caught up. There's guns being drawn at people. Everyone's mad, and these two guys still don't like each other and still in the middle of the situation.
And you definitely don't want to be bickering with each other when you're trying to survive, right? Like that is the worst time to be fighting. So holy crap. And then the book, we have 2 amazing soft cover options, you know, cover 1 or cover 2. I love this cover 2. It's almost like Expendables, almost like a Game of Thrones type vibe with the guns. Yeah. And that's so cool.
I'm pretty happy about it. That's what the original artist, and then I had someone new do the main cover. You know, giving at least some new material, you know, new covers and not just back matter.
And then there's a huge page count and body count as well. 30 pages for that first issue, 24, 25, and then 40. Yeah. Man, this is awesome.
That's not counting those backup stories, by the way. So you remember how you have that Good Samaritan backup? That page count does not include those backup stories. So there's another about an issue's worth of backup stories.
And then, so let's hit up some of these pledge levels. So at the PDF, $10. Jesus Christ, Travis.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that is an outstanding price for a trade paperback. Probably one of the cheapest I've ever seen. You got the Orange Cone sampler at $22. So if you want to try out all the Orange Cone issue ones, right here is your chance. Outstanding price on that. How many books is in that sampler, do you think?
There is 8. There's 8. 8 books.
We have the standard physical at $25, another outstanding price. You get the Virgin at $30, so this will be the Virgin cover. Right. You have both covers at $50, so wow, oh my god, man, you're just killing it with these prices. At $60 or more, you get the broke down trade plus single issue, so you get trade paperback and all those individuals as well. $75, you get the collector's kit. What's in this thing? This thing looks like one hell of a tier.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to have the original sketches of each of the characters right there. I have them all like put on this beautiful postcard set that's going to be signed and numbered by me. So it'll be each of those 4 in the black and white. We've got a metal bookmark, so a metal shiny bookmark. And my bookmarks are really cool, the shiny ones. Let me see if I got one here. Yeah, I got one here. So here's one. They're very, very cool. They're metal. This is going to be the first one that's not going to be colored. So this is color green. This is going to be actually on silver. So it'll look that in metal. I'm going to print the original ash can. So that right there in 2007 is the ash can, what I tried to get people to buy the book. So it's got art you've never seen before because it's from the original artist.
That's cool.
I tried to get through. We've got a cool bag, and then we've got a couple of sticker sets.
That is so cool. Then we have pledge 85 or more, get the Orange Cone digital collection. So
yes,
everything? Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's everything.
$175, we had the broke down trade plus metal set. So you get all these limited edition metal covers, 50 bucks each, or 155 for the complete set. So that's an outstanding price to get the trade paperback with that. And then we have the complete collection in 2023 at $260. So you've already came out with 9 books. I mean, how many more you got planned?
It's crazy. Well, that doesn't even have that has more stuff than that, because it's got it's got the digital collection doesn't include some of those things. So you're gonna get like 4 trades in that. You're gonna get all sorts of stuff in there. So it's wild, but it'll catch you right up, get you every book that Orange Cone has produced. So it's wild.
And then we have the stretch goals right here. So at 7,000, add 6 pages of bonus behind the scene material. At 7,500, you get 4 pages backup story Boneyard. At 8,000, you unlock 25 limited edition hardcover versions. And then at 9,000, add 8-page backup for Randy. So some awesome writers and artists there as well. Any idea on the price for the hardcover version?
It'll be $60, but it's only going to be limited 25. Which is crazy. So we're going to have it very small, very limited. The reason why is hardcovers are very expensive to put together, especially with our page count. And I wanted to keep it limited, keep it special. I eventually want to do it. And I want to show that the book is done. So I want to show all that art. But yeah, we're going to do probably about 60. And it's going to be kind of fun.
And then right here are some of the other campaigns as well. So one hell of a campaign here. Travis, for anyone who might be on the fence about backing, what would you like to say to them directly to kind of help push them over that fence?
You've never read a book like this. And I don't say that as an ego thing, is they don't make books like this. The crime books that they make are noir, they're scratchy. This is clean, kind of more anime, modern look. Crime is such a small genre in the comic book world. And I think you'll really love it. So if you love crime fiction and you want to get into something really good, and I'm hoping it does well, because if it does well, I'd love to produce more broke down books. But I really got to see the audiences there. The last campaign that we did, had almost 300 backers. Hopefully we'll get towards that towards the end. But yeah, I think that you're not going to find anything like this. And it's priced affordably, $25 trade paperback. That's $150 for an
10
indie
bucks
comic.
For the digital is like ridiculous. Like that is a steal.
I'm basically charging you $5 a book. And really this is 5 issues worth of content, if you do the math, it's about a little over 5 issues worth of content in the whole thing. So I think it's great. In fact, if I ever redid it, I would probably have separated 4 into 2 issues, 4 and 5. But yeah, it's good. And, this means the world to me. I do a lot of campaigns, but this is my first collected trade. It means the world to me that to getting it out there and to showing you guys and to getting you guys to support it. Like it absolutely means the world to me. So if you've been following my other stuff like Granite State Punk or Coins of Judas or some of these things, you want to see my origin story, this is where you start.
Let's go. So Travis, you've been on the show before. Well, actually, let's back it up. What's next for you in 2023? I mean, we dabbled a little bit. You got 9 books out so far. I mean, do you have an idea? I mean, I know it's kind of, I think you said whatever artist is ready next, right?
What's up?
It's your next project determined by whatever artist is ready next, or do you have the next one?
Oh, yeah. But now we have a lot done. So the next thing is our biggest thing of the year that everyone talks about, everybody's excited about, and connects most of the thing. It's going to be Cthulhu Invades Neverland. Okay. So that's going to be our next book. So that'll be, it's got everyone from Richard Fairgraves to Charlie Stigney to Pat Shan to, everyone you can think of is in there. All these great creators, Daniel Calvin, all these creators are in this book doing that. So that'll be our big one. That's our July. We also, after that, we got Granite State Punk 3. Then we got Voodoo Nations 4. And then we've got a secret October project. And then we've got Holiday Spirits 3. What else do I got over here? There's got to be something missing. Nope, that's all that's announced. And then in the direct market, doing stuff. We got Coins of Judas 1 and 2, and then we've got we got Granite State Punk 2 coming out to the direct market. Breaking Edge that'll come out in October. So it is a wild year. Probably another 9 books.
That is awesome, though. That is awesome. So I wanted to do that first before we dive into the advice, because I wanted to make sure everyone watching had a good lineup and a good idea when to catch you next. So that being said, as someone who's ran 20 campaigns on Kickstarter, For anyone who's looking to just do a Kickstarter for the first time, how important is that pre-launch? What is the, for someone who's done this and done so many back-to-back? I mean, for someone looking to set up a pre-launch for the first time, what's the importance of doing that, and how could they go about doing it successfully?
Yeah, it's weird because as someone who's done this a lot, I don't do pre-launches a lot because pre-launches for me, when we started, wasn't even an option. We just kind of launched. But what pre-launches does, it shows that you have an audience, or at least someone looking. Yeah. And that's the most important thing. When you're starting out, you need to know that you have an audience. You need to know that there'll be a certain amount of people there. And I always recommend at least 25, like 25 people that are going to be there on day one, that they're going to have your back, that they're going to back you, that they're going to be part of that process. The other thing that I think for new creators, and this sucks, and you're not going to like to hear this, have the book ready to go. Yeah. Have the book ready to go. So when you do these interviews like Cody, that they can read the book and tell you what it is, I have a lot of respect for people who have the book ready to go. But one of the things, here's the caveat to that I do like to explain. Some people, like when they do these interviews, they'll tell you, Cody, they're like, man, I've got the first 20 issues done, ready to go. Like I have it all written out, all mapped out, strategy, blah, 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 blah. If you have that, then you're not doing comics for the right reasons. You're supposed to be doing it to build an audience. If you're 20 issues ahead, you don't care about fan feedback, right? You don't care about what the fan liked about the book. Because you know what? Every book I've ever done has been influenced the next issue by, dude, I really like this character. And I was like, really? Okay, well, let me give you a little bit more of that character. Yeah, let me lean into that. And listen to that feedback, that positive feedback helps you become a better creator. Obviously don't do that to hurt your story, right? If it hurts your story, don't do that. But if it can help build your story and the fans resonate to something, let's do that. Like Deadpool was not planned to be a major important character. The character was Gideon. That's why he has the main image on the cover of the Deadpool page. Gideon was supposed to be that character, but Deadpool resonated with the fans. So people leaned into Deadpool, and now Deadpool is huge. So listen to the fans, and you're going to have a better audience, and you're going to be able to make more amazing things in the future.
I love that. So Travis, last but not least, I mean, we were talking backstage about Diablo. Like, what are you getting ready to consume? What video games, TV shows, books?
I am hoping that it's Father's Day a couple weeks. I am hoping that my wife buys me Diablo. I'm really excited about that. Spider-Man 2 looks killer. I'm so
my God,
excited.
Yes.
It actually reminded me that I didn't finish in Spider-Man 1. I bought the DLC, but I never beat the Black Hat stuff. So I got to go back and do that. Maybe even give Miles another. Miles is like 6 hours. It was so short.
It was so good though. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was priced short too. What I like about it, it was a short game and it was priced accordingly. Remember?
Day one launch for the PS5 too.
Yeah, and it was like $40. Unlike Spider-Man, which is $60. Like, I like that they were like, we're not trying to mess you up. So that I'm really excited about. I'm a huge Mortal Kombat fan. So Mortal Kombat 1. I am stoked about that.
How do you feel about them resetting it though?
This is like the third reset. It's so weird that they're doing that, but when your game is about murdering people, like, I think you got to kind of do that if you want to get these characters back sometimes.
Not a whole lot of story you can build on it, right? Like,
you keep murdering all your characters, this is the situation we come in. And to be honest, Mortal Kombat is the only one of the fighting series. I play all of them, Street Fighter and Tekken. I don't care about any of those storylines. The only one I care about is Mortal Kombat. So there's got to be something. Oh, and Injustice. I care about Injustice.
Oh, Injustice is good. Like, I love. So did the comic come first, or did the game?
The game came first, but it is the first comic that from a movie, a video game adaptation besides Sonic that has ever done anything. Like,
and it's brutal.
And in fact, believe it or not, the writer of it, and I apologize if I correct somebody. I think it's Tom King. I think it's Tom King. I think it's Tom King. You don't get paid back-end pay for video game stuff because it's kind of an adaptation. You don't normally get paid. He did so well and people bought it so much that they retroactively, DC did the right thing. I know we always talk about how Marvel and DC don't do the right thing and the rights and all that. That's why Bendis is never writing another Miles Morales story, is because they didn't do the right thing. But they retroactively made sure that he was taken care of and given because he did such a good deal. And imagine, like, that's inspiration, you know, for me as an indie creator, right? Like, you get thrown Injustice, you're like, shit, it's a video game, nobody's gonna buy it. And the guy just fucking worked his ass, did the best story, and people kept talking about it and fucking made it work, man. Like, that's awesome. Like, that any work that you have, if you put your effort in, you put your whole heart into it, it could work.
You know, and I love that too, because we started with a Spider-Man Noir character and the dude not getting acknowledged for, and we're ending it on, you know, the dude getting acknowledged. So I think that's it came perfect full circle as well. Travis, this was one hell of a sit down. I loved it. Thank you for the opportunity to read this, for the sit down, for the chat, and everything in between. Everyone watching, I hope you are all having a lovely Sunday. Right there is the link. Make sure you back today. But most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.